Hello and welcome to Post-Match Raw, the pre-season edition. No, I only half joke, but I'm joined by Double Irish. How are you, Dave, in your own house? How are you doing?
I'm tremendous, guy. Absolutely tremendous today.
Good stuff. And we also have fully powered Trevor Downey. How are you doing, Trev?
I'm great. Like Dave, warm. There's light. You know, what else can a lad want?
Sounds like rural England is much more advanced than rural Ireland.
It's sadly true. Sadly true.
That wouldn't be hard.
Yeah, we have power and everything. Um, Lads, we usually do the lineups and stuff like that, but Dave, I'll start with you. We're into another final. Coming into the season, the League Cup was obviously pretty far down on the priorities list. But as the season's gone on, like we obviously want the Premier League and the Champions League, but we've kind of just found our way into another semi-final and then a final, and it's almost cliched at this time. But we always remember and go on about people getting their first cup under the belt. Now, it'd be nice if that was the Premier League or Champions League, which still hopefully can and will happen this season. But if we get a League Cup under our belt, or Arne Slot's belt, I should say, it adds on to this already almost perfect start of first season for Arne Slot. And plus it's our cup.
There's no such thing as a bad trophy.
Mm,
There might be trophies that are worth a little bit less than others, and clearly the League Cup and the FA Cup are worth less than the Premier League and the Champions League. But when the likes of Mo and Virgil are old men and they're bringing the grandkids and the great grandkids in, they're not going to be telling them about the time they took City to the final day but lost. But they're going to show them medals and cups and awards that they've won, because that's what they care about.
Van
And
Dijk will love the header last year.
exactly, he's definitely got a painting of that in his gaff, like. But the fact that we could potentially win this cup now in the middle of March 16th, this game will be played. That really can just be a springboard and set us up. Now, it didn't last year. We know that it didn't last year. We had hoped that it would be, and it wasn't. It was in 21-22.
Mm-hmm.
We were unbelievable off the back of that League Cup win the first time around with Jurgen. Obviously we fell short in the two big cups, but we didn't fall short for any fault of our own in the league after that game. What had hurt us was what took place before, with too many drop points.
Mm-hmm.
And we have such a strong position in the league this year. And then in the Champions League, like, we lost to Real in the final. Everybody loses to Real in the Champions League final. It's just what happens. If you get to the Champions League final and you look across from you and you see Real Madrid, just know that you're losing. If it's anyone else, you've got a chance of winning. But potentially this season, like, it's a weak Champions League field. The Premier League is not quite in our hands, but we've certainly got our fingertips on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this really could be just a great launching point for us.
Yeah, it really could be. I mean, Trev, similar question to you. We come into this game stupidly 1-0 down, where at the worst it should have been a 0-0, but we still should have won that game. Some people are nervous. You can understand why. It's a semi-final. Weird things happened in semi-finals. We know this. We've been a part of some. But we kind of just went as expected. We just treated it as ourselves as the superior team. And obviously we'll go through the entire game, but we just kind of treat them way better than you, and we'll push through you.
It had that nice, quiet, confident feeling in the pit of your stomach as you were watching it. The fans were right up for it, and that always
Mm-hmm.
helps. That nighttime atmosphere is great at Anfield. It just, without being leaning into cliches too much, it is a factor. But like as Dave says, there's no such thing as a bad trophy. And I've often heard him say on his show that, like, we do have an affinity with this one. And getting to another final is not to be sniffed at. The opposition there, who will be playing the league as well, are eminently beatable, but also will present a big challenge. They'll be in exactly the same boat as we were talking about with a certain other club, namely Spurs, before the mics went live. a trophy would be massive for them at this stage of their development. So they are going to be absolutely flat out for that. And we know they can put it right up to us. So
Hmm.
that will be whatever it will be. But the progress to this final has been pretty impressive from Liverpool. There was that 5-1 win, wasn't there, over West Ham? I recall a 3-2 over Brighton. We beat Southampton. This is not hasn't been a straightforward gimme run in a cup like you see City getting to get to a final. We've had to dig out good results here. And it was good that he went strong. I think it's going to be all change against Plymouth at the weekend and should be all change against Plymouth at the weekend because honestly, I really wouldn't give you tuppence for that game. Progress in, I don't care. I find it impossible to care, and I think he'll use that in the most cynical way possible to keep momentum going in certain legs to involve other players. You'd be amazed if Fede Chiesa, for example, doesn't start that game and things like that.
Mm.
That
Hmm.
can be a thing in and of itself. It can be used now in the cynical way that he managed to use the PSV game, and we still fucking got away with it and got top of that league. All of these things are building in a way that, I kind of row in behind what yourself and Dave are saying. This doesn't feel, and I was saying it and making myself a hostage to fortune on not one but two shows yesterday. But this, I'll go for the fucking hat trick. This does not feel like one of those seasons where things are sort of in the balance or we're by the seat of our pants, or it's like, oh, exciting last minute wins. We're just better than everybody that we take the field against. And whether or not we actually show it on the day every day is a different thing. But tonight we've absolutely blitzed them. I mean, the stats are absolutely absurd for a team that was looking to do something to make some sort of mark. Tottenham's efforts tonight were lamentable. I mean, we created, I think, almost 4 XG to their 0.18. We had 26 shots, 10 on target. They had 5 in total, and most of them came in the second half when the game was dead and buried, and it was Son. I think it had at least 2 of them that were, in or near enough the target. It just has this lovely feel, guy, of uh things are controlled.
Yeah.
That's what Arne Slot has brought, you know.
Do you
Uh,
remember, Trev, when we had Rafa
yeah,
and we used to just win games 2-0 and fuck all had happened? It'd just be really, really straightforward. There'd be minimal amounts of stress involved. And it was just tremendous stuff through these kind of real tough months in the slog part of the season. And that's to me what tonight felt like, except that it wasn't a 2-0, it was a 4-0. And like you said, I mean, the only real close call we had tonight was the Sun one that hits the crossbar. But like that's it. And at that point, the game was over. We've gone in there tonight, and I said it on Scouted, I said it on the Daily Red. We were going to control our own destiny in this game because
yeah.
we're just a much better team than them. We're a better team than them when they have their full gear and we have ours. But when you're talking about starting goalkeeper, three starting defenders, a backup centre back, and the starting striker missing, as well as Madison and Brennan Johnson and whoever else, like 10 players in total out tonight, 5 of them starters. Like you were expecting us to win tonight, but it's the manner in which we've done it that's so impressive.
It was almost there was a kind of a arrogance is the wrong word, but it was just almost dismissive the way that
Mm,
we treated them. Virgil and Ibu were pretty imperious, and lads were just getting that extra foot in. And some of the games that we've seen over the course of the early part of the season where we haven't been maybe tremendous at second balls and things like that, and we've had frustrating periods in the game. There wasn't one period of the game like that, not even one. And again, yes, I totally take your point. This is a very much reduced Spurs side. There's still enough good players there, and they
yeah,
should have enough heart to want to get to a semi-final. I mean, we've seen our kids, and we've seen in this competition in the past, way back when, I remember Arsenal doing it. It doesn't have to be all your finest players, but they showed so little
yeah.
tonight, I think that will be really what speaks to
It's also a very expensively assembled Spurs team. Like
Well, it is, yeah.
Richarlison was 60 million, Kulusevski was 40, Basuma was 30, Bentancur was, I think, 25, Sarr was 20, Spence was 12, Gray was 30. That poor lad, I think he played 4 different positions tonight. He was nearly
At
dizzy.
least.
He was getting moved around. Danzo they've brought in on a loan with an obligation, I think, to buy for, or an option to buy for like 15 million.
I think
How
it's
much
20.
is
I think it's
15?
26. They said for Danza.
Is it 26? That's absurd.
How
And
much
even the
was
lads,
Tell?
Tell is loan with an option to buy, I think, for 50.
For
Yeah.
50, right?
And then
yeah.
Pedro Porro came on. He was 40 million. Bergval came on. I think he was like 12 or 14. Mikey Moore came through the academy. So, like, you're right. Even though they are missing a ton of lads, there's still a fortune gone into that team.
They're not fucking have a go heroes. You know what I
No.
mean? There should be at least a concerted effort. And it was just, it's obviously things are not right there. And I think the attitude there tonight will be the final nail in Postecoglou's coffin. But my point is, we just managed the shit out of that game. And there was that kind of dismissive way that we were playing. It was just like, and there's a little lad, and he's getting very angry, and he's trying to throw a few shapes and throw a few punches, and the bigger fella just holds him off by pushing him in the chest and keeping him away. We were just like that much better than them. It was like, relax, will you now? Go off now and sit down there for yourselves and just let us win this. Now, I will admit, though, at one point with the set pieces, I was getting a bit exasperated. Guy, you know yourself.
Yeah.
And again, speaking of hostage to fortune, went and put in the tweet, so I had to go and take the piss out of myself immediately afterwards. But, the point stands. We are shit at set pieces.
Well, McAllister can take a corner, and we don't put him on. I know he was sub today, but he came on, and we started taking corners. Well, I was like, put him on corners all the time. I don't care if Trent's playing.
Agreed.
It's just, I don't. Yeah, we'll get on to them. We'll get on to that.